There's a specific number, not $1 million, not even 100,000, that quietly changes everything about how you live your life. Most people don't even realize it exists. And yet, once you cross it, the way you make decisions, the way you sleep at night, and the way you carry yourself in the world shifts in ways that are hard to describe until you've felt it yourself. That number is $10,000. Today, we're going to talk about exactly why this amount is so psychologically powerful. Not because of what you can buy with it, but because of what it does to your brain, your confidence, and the trajectory of your entire financial life. To understand why $10,000 matters so much, you first have to understand what life looks like without any savings at all. Imagine standing at a checkout counter, silently calculating whether you can afford the item in your hand without overdrafting your account. Or ducking out of a group dinner because $30 for a meal would genuinely set back your rent payment. This is called survival mode, and millions of people live here permanently. Not because they're lazy or irresponsible, but because nobody ever explained what saving money actually does to the brain. When you have zero cushion, every single financial decision becomes a crisis. Your car makes a weird noise. That's a potential catastrophe. A medical bill arrives. That could spiral for months. A friend invites you to a trip. You immediately feel shame instead of excitement. You're not managing money. You're constantly defending against it. Here's where things get genuinely fascinating. Neuroscientists have found that financial insecurity keeps the brain's stress response in a near constant state of activation. Your cortisol, the hormone your body releases during danger, stays elevated when you're worried about money. That's not a metaphor, it's a measurable biological reality. But when you build a buffer, even just $10,000, something clinically interesting happens. Your baseline cortisol drops. Your decision making improves. You sleep more deeply. You're more patient in your relationships. You think more clearly at work. The money hasn't made you rich. What it's done is removed the low level alarm signal your brain has been running in the background every hour of every day. Think about that check engine light again. Without savings, it's a spiral. How do I pay for this? Should I put it on a card? What if it's $2,000? What if I lose my job? With $10,000 in the bank, it's just an appointment you need to make. Panic becomes mild annoyance. That shift, panic to annoyance, it sounds small. It is not. That shift is the difference between reactive and intentional living. Most people treat saving like a temporary diet. They cut back hard for a few weeks, feel the pain, and eventually snap back to their old habits. Then they feel guilty, and the cycle repeats. But the people who actually reach $10,000 don't do it through willpower. They do it through identity. They stop asking, "How do I save money?" and start asking, "Who is the type of person I want to become?" A person who saves doesn't just track expenses. They start noticing opportunities. They renegotiate subscriptions. They look for better insurance rates. They think 6 months ahead instead of 6 days. And here's what nobody tells you. The first $1,000 is the hardest. By the time you're working toward your fifth or 6,000, the habits are almost automatic. The muscle has been built. The identity has taken root. The most important financial skill isn't earning, it's keeping. And the person earning $40,000 a year who keeps money consistently will always outpace the person earning $100,000 who spends every dollar they make. Let's talk about what $10,000 actually does for you in practical terms, because this is where people tend to underestimate it. First, it covers the vast majority of real-life emergencies. Most car repairs fall under $3,000. Most urgent medical costs, even without great insurance merit, are manageable within this range. Home repairs, sudden travel, family emergencies, most of these situations resolve within $10,000. Second, and this is the part that doesn't get talked about enough, it creates options that didn't exist before. A certification that costs $2,000 upfront but adds $10,000 to your annual salary? You can actually do that now. A chance to invest in a business opportunity? You have something to work with. A bad job that's destroying your mental health. You have 3 to 6 months of runway to leave and find something better without desperation driving your decisions. Desperation is expensive. When you're financially cornered, you accept bad deals on jobs, on purchases, on relationships. A $10,000 buffer is the beginning of negotiating from a position of strength instead of fear. You walk into rooms differently when you know you're not desperate. That is worth more than the $10,000 itself. If you're watching this and $10,000 feels like a distant planet, I want you to hear this clearly. You don't have to find $10,000. You just have to find the next $50. The research on habit formation is very clear. Consistency over intensity, every time. Someone who puts aside $100 every month for 100 months will beat the person who saves $1,000 once and burns out. The habit compounds. The identity compounds. And once you've crossed $10,000, your relationship with money changes permanently. Not because you're suddenly wealthy, but because you're no longer afraid of it. That's where real financial life begins. Thank you for watching and listening to me.